All right, boys and girls, I've been gone for some time, but here we are, and I'm going to be complaining about something. Hey, times haven't changed. But I think this is important to talk about, and I don't think it is something that gets talked about at all in the community. And it is a massive issue. It contributes a lot to the metas that we have. And honestly, it's been a problem for years and years. And I understand why it doesn't get talked about, because it kind of just skims under the radar. It's not something that really gets thought about very much. So without further ado, boys and girls, let's get into it. All right, so I'm going to start with a couple questions that I want to ask you guys. First up, where do you get your builds from? Now, most people are going to answer, is there no one else? Godzilla, myself, Zakar, Imperial. There's a lot of great content creators, Malcolm. There's a lot of really knowledgeable and good players out there that are willing to help players. But I think we may be doing more damage than we are doing good. And we'll explain what I mean by that here in a little while. But I'd say a good 95 to 98, 99%, whatever freaking number you want to call it, of content creators putting PvP builds out are solo, small-scale players. On the other side of that, the majority of ESO players in this game are not 1vx players. They're not solo, small-scale players. And you can go into Cyrodiil just for a few hours and you can see this for yourself. That people just aren't like this anymore. And there's many reasons why that is, and that's a whole different topic for another day. On one side, you've got most of the content creators out there putting builds out for solo, small-scale 1vx PvP, but on the other hand, the majority of players aren't these players. Like, they're just not. And this is something that's always kind of baffled me about ESO and the PvP builds and like scene and everything around it. So the smart people out there can see this is a problem, because 1vx builds as a rule they're generally a bit tankier, they generally have a bit more recovery, they need to be able to do everything. You know, you can't rely on your group for some off heals or some off buffs or whatever. You've got to do everything yourself. The end result of this, though, is 1vx builds are fundamentally a lot more tankier than what a group build would need to be. This is just the knock-on effect of you start having 90% of the population, 98%, whatever you want to call it, running around in 1vx builds. All of a sudden, you've got this horrible meta, and don't get me wrong, this has been the case for years and years and years. At the moment, it's just a perfect storm of situations and things that have caused this and put us in this tank meta situation. But this has been an ongoing problem since the existence of this game. Like, you go back and you look at people like Fangrush that were putting builds out way back then, Lefty Lucy, you know, same thing. They're solo players putting builds out to the masses that aren't solo players, but they are still running that build. And I don't think you see this kind of thing in many other games. It's kind of unique to ESO. Maybe it's not, I don't know. But it's a massive contributor to problems within this game. Earlier when I said we potentially are doing more harm than good, I believe that. But at the same time, it's not that it's anyone's fault. It's just, it's the way it is. And we're so entrenched in this now that it's going to be hard. And from a content creator's point of view, it is very hard to put group content out. For one, we don't necessarily do it. And a lot of people don't like putting group builds out. If they don't play it, they're not knowledgeable about it. Two, it just doesn't get views. And unfortunately, YouTubers, content creators, yes, part of what we do is about getting views. It's just hard. There's not really much of a supply there for group builds, and everyone wants 1vx builds for some reason. Now, going forward, I have been working on this for some time, but I want to release group builds that all slot in with each other. So, you know, your 5-man or your 6-man or 12-man can go watch these videos and builds and know that they're going to work together with each other. So it's basically handbook for group play. And I know a lot of people are probably going to get mad about that. They're like, Johnny, you're just supporting bold group meta. And honestly, bold group meta right now is fucking horrible. Like, no one dies. Everyone's just in tank sets. I don't know. Doing research for these group setups, the amount of damage you can push out of a 12-man is unbelievably insane. So to watch a 12-man and a Zerg hit each other and no one dies is beyond me. It's not just the meta, it's the way these guys are building. And once again, another massive issue in ESO is everyone is so goddamn scared of dying. I can't fucking understand it. I honestly don't understand why people are so scared to die in this game. It's kind of sad. Anyway, it's kind of... It's a massive issue, but there's not really a clear way of fixing this. And I think that's the frustrating thing. But I think we can start to put things on the right path with people just being honest with themselves and going, okay, I don't need a 1vx build. I need a group build. I need something that's going to make me better and more beneficial to my group than worrying about myself and just being greedy and being like scared of dying. Like that's honestly a half of it. Anyway, let me know in the comments section what you guys think about Zerglings running 1vx builds. All right, as always, boys and girls, I love yous, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.